Hey guys, Drifter here. Today we're back with part 2 of NFTs in gaming, which is all about the bad things about NFTs. I don't even have to beg you not to hit the dislike button over here because I think a lot of you are going to be just very happy to see me complaining about NFTs and pointing out some of their problems. So in today's video, we're going to talk about bad economic problems, legal problems, cultural problems, and the big one is environmental problems. So NFTs are literally everywhere. They're now on this YouTube channel since I'm making a video about it. There are endless amounts of NFT platforms and advertisements and pop-ups, and everybody's trading them and talking about them, and it's on TV, and it just feels like you can't go anywhere to avoid NFTs. Even most celebrities are doing NFTs, not just making NFTs, but also making their own platforms because that's far more profitable than just selling images. You've got Marvel on board. Tony Hawk is doing NFTs. The Kardashians did NFTs and their own cryptocurrency, which turned out to be a massive scam of questionably legal proportions. Eric Andre is doing NFTs, Snoop Dogg NFTs, Eminem. All of these celebrities are just cranking NFTs and making millions from them. Game companies are supporting them. You see them on Ubisoft's Quartz platform. Twitter supports NFTs. Anytime you see somebody with like a hexagonal border, that's going to be an NFT image. Half of your friends are probably out there foolishly trading NFTs, trying to flip them and make a whole bunch of money. And there you just see news articles about daily NFT scams all the time of huge numbers like $600 million and stuff like that. So in my head, living a life free of NFTs is kind of like hiding from telemarketers. No matter what you change your number to, how many block lists you're on, or how many things you report, these people, they just keep calling you from the vehicle warranty department, or this is the IRS, we're going to deport you unless you give me Apple gift cards or whatever. Just no matter what you try to do, some NFT bro is just going to jump out of the bushes and start trying to sell you things like Butters in the South Park future. And I think a lot of gamers are legitimately sick of NFTs because everybody's piling onto this hype train and creating an unlimited hype culture, which we'll talk about soon enough, and you just can't avoid it. So today, after explaining what NFTs and the good things about them were last time, we're going to talk all about the bad things about NFTs. So some basic economic bad things. Number one, they cannot be replaced if they're lost or stolen. Kind of like a physical artwork, but also kind of like a crypto wallet. If you lose access to your crypto wallet, you've also lost access to everything in the crypto wallet, including these NFTs. So while you can lose your NFT, somebody else can right-click it, steal it, download it, put it in a game, use it as their image, whatever. They might not get the cool hexagonal border, but they can still use that Bored Ape that you paid $5,000 for. Sometimes you can actually lose your NFTs in high-stakes gambles or certain games where they're destroyable, which is kind of crazy. There's tons of ways to fish for information from NFTs, to run scams, a lot of pump and dumps that the celebrities do. There's the rug pull scam. It's kind of also still prone to counterfeiting and stealing from investors. A lot of people build an NFT platform, get investors, and then just dip with the investor money. You can counterfeit NFTs. You can right-click an NFT and save it, and then remint that same image on the blockchain. And there's nothing really stopping you from doing that, which is also a problem because some NFTs are actually stolen from the original creators, which leads us to some of the legal problems with NFTs. You still got to pay taxes on these trades, kind of like YouTubers in the early 2010s when they didn't know that internet money was taxable. These are very taxable. All of these trades, these profits and losses are taxable. They're just not in banking systems, they're on blockchains, but regulation is coming to give the government the ability to kind of peek at those a little bit more. And you may not even own the rights to the art you bought. If you bought art, you might have just bought a URL, and whatever art is hosted there, you have the rights to, and they can change that. Or it could have been stolen art like we talked about before. There's a number of people from even like that started really big NFT platforms that said their art was stolen, they weren't compensated or something like that. So there may be legal implications there. And honestly, some NFTs are used for money laundering, sometimes from horrible organizations that I don't even want to mention because this video will get demonetized. But like the real world high-end art trade, NFT trade is very money laundering heavy. It's a way to hold and spend and inflate assets without paying any taxes on them. And there are lots of bad actors in the community doing that. Which leads me to the next most common NFT problem, and the one that I think drives most of you crazy, which is its cultural problems. NFT communities operate a lot like multi-level marketing or MLM communities. I did a whole video on why multi-level marketing corporations are a scam. It's the sort of Herbalife, it's the Miracle Advantage, it's the Mary Kay, it's all these sort of little products that you have to sell to other people with them having to resell. So the people at the top make the most money, and some of the people that get in early make some money, and then everybody else down the chain of the MLM gets completely screwed. It's kind of, you've seen the pilot, and then you got your co-pilots and your wingmen. You've probably seen all these old scams. You know, it's like a pyramid scheme, right? Well, unfortunately, a lot of NFT communities are pyramid oriented, and the people that get in early in the pyramid schemes often do pretty well, especially because these scale them up and have massive volume. But almost everybody who gets in late, or even not late, just not in the very beginning, usually loses out on trade due to the fees, the volatility, or just the nature of the pyramid scheme itself. NFTs, or at least an NFT platform in a sense, do require constant amounts of new money coming in to verify the assets are worth something and to further inflate the assets that benefit the people at the very top. However, NFTs are also similar to MLMs in an unusual way in that they both provide you emotional comfort by making you feel like you're part of something. You're part of a company, you're part of history, you're part of a movement. So for a multi-level marketing thing, they try to do like you're a family, or you can be your own CEO and work from home and retire at 30, and you're an entrepreneur. With NFTs, it's more like you're part of the community. This is the digital revolution. We're changing money, helping artists. You're on the bleeding cutting edge of technology, out there changing the world and doing good for everybody. So many people in the NFT community, even well-meaning people, work really hard to proselytize others. That's sort of an old old Baptist word I'm pulling up. That means convert, to kind of go out like a Mormon missionary door to door and tell people the good news of NFTs, to get new converts to buy in, which inflates their assets. And it also makes them feel good because they're bringing in new members to this flock of people that are changing the world. And that means that NFT communities kind of spread like religions with true believers in there. And they work really hard to criticize non-believers as well. If you criticize NFTs, if you're negative, if you're against it, they'll brigade you, downvote you, harass you, dox you, all this kind of stuff. And in another way, like multi-level marketing companies, NFTs work very hard on external marketing to make that community seem very appealing and seem very profitable. Much like the be your CEO and retire at 30, they want to say, hey, come join this NFT community, have fun, change the world, make money. And enough of this eventually kind of just brainwashes people into NFT bros that talk about almost nothing else. They think about the whole world in terms of NFTs. I can't admit that I'm better in a sense. I think about the whole world in terms of Twitter and YouTube videos and streams and content and stuff. They do the same thing here, so it creates their own little bubble. The community really can be like a cult, and it's very easy to get sucked into this and not even realize it. Cults are appealing for a reason, NFTs are appealing for a reason, and they're very unappealing to people that aren't in them for those same reasons, but from a different perspective. So yeah, they can be very annoying, but I think the real killer here is the environmental problems. This for me is my hard break point. The scams I can ignore because that's natural. Any new piece of technology invented ever is going to involve scams. You know, there's always going to be new legal challenges. There's always going to be douchebags in every community, but an environmental problem is a more permanent problem, and that's just the one that I can't ignore. So let's talk about the environmental impact of NFTs. So as you know, NFTs run on crypto technology. They mostly run on the Ethereum blockchain, and that means that buying, minting, creating, selling these, you're doing some computationally complex things that require a distributed network of computers to all run computations and talk to each other and agree that you're the buyer and do all this crypto stuff that we talked about in a totally different video. But all of that uses resources. It uses electricity at the very least, and electricity that could be generated from coal, gas, or something polluting, or at the very least just using even the green energy that we have available instead of doing something better with it. So crypto is kind of, in a sense, like buying and selling computer power, or being able to prove that you have that much computer power. But instead of doing something great like Sony's folding at home, where they, fold proteins to cure cancer, it's more of a pointless end to create a non-government controlled currency. So back to NFTs. In order to mint or create an NFT, you have to spend on average about 142 kilowatt hours of energy. And that probably doesn't make sense to a whole lot of you, but on average, one house in the United States uses about 890 kilowatt hours per month. So creating one NFT, uploading your image to the blockchain, minting it, NFTing it, is about 16% of somebody's monthly electric bill for the average American. And do keep in mind that Americans use a lot more energy than people in other places of the world, so it's probably like half of other countries' electric bills. However, that's just creating the NFT. It still has to take bids, it still has to confirm a sale, do the transfer, a variety of other things just for the initial sale, much less everything else. And if you add all that up, the amount of kilowatt hours of energy is about 34% of somebody's monthly bill, or about 1/3. But that's just the energy use. If you want to think about that in terms of carbon, which is our base measurement for pollution these days, and I could argue against that for 1,000 reasons, but it's the standard. That's about 211 kilograms or 464 pounds of carbon that got pumped into the air for you to mint a digital image and sell it to another person. Now that's just for one. That's like 400 plus pounds of carbon for one. However, there are currently millions of NFTs being traded and sold all the time. So you take that 400 pounds, it could be 400 million pounds today, constantly cranking every day, polluting the atmosphere. It uses our electricity, which raises the electricity price just globally, because crypto right now globally uses more electricity than most countries. For example, crypto currently uses more electricity than Argentina, a similar amount to Spain, and slightly more than the entire state of Washington. Even if crypto and blockchain technology and NFTs were all run by 100% green energy sources, that's still a lot of wasted energy for the world, because we could use it on many, many, many better things. And that's just part of the problem. The demand for NFTs, the demand for blockchain, crypto mining, and all this kind of technology is also one of the primary drivers behind the price increase of consumer electronics, the chip shortage, the GPU shortage. All the companies are trying to fight it just so that gamers can get GPUs. And NFTs are a part of that problem. It's a little bit more crypto, but NFTs are crypto oriented. And all of this is ultimately just waste. Thousands, hundreds, millions of pounds of carbon pumped into the air, millions of kilowatt hours of electricity wasted every single day to really do nothing, to not really benefit society, just these art trades to make some people rich. And some people will argue, okay, but crypto uses a lot of computational power now, but in the future, there's all these green cryptos and these really efficient ones and these really, low computational power things. But the problem is that NFT bros and crypto miners are already building these massive energy intensive and polluting rigs, like right now. And if a new coin comes out that's 100 times more efficient, then the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to swap over to mining this more efficient coin, but also crank at maximum capacity of whatever power plant and GPUs they have, because that's human nature, to get the most out of it as possible. And I think that if you made crypto even have a near zero computational cost, 1/10,000th of what it is right now, that we would still crank and pollute at the same capacity. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my opinions about why NFTs are bad, and I wanted to offer you a final opinion about them here at the end. I talked a lot about the environmental problems because that's the most important to me. I really like what NFTs offer in terms of secure transactions, in terms of supporting artists, and I do kind of like the idea of having these unique items in games that the companies don't necessarily control. So that's all good. I'm totally on board for these ideas. I love them. I can deal with sort of the legal and cultural problems around NFTs because those come from new technologies and they'll eventually fade. But I can't get past the environmental impact. I'm a big believer in green energy, sustainable energy, non-polluting, global warming bad. We're going to kill the planet by polluting it. And I just don't see a future where NFTs are even remotely environmentally sustainable. There's basically nothing about them that makes any sense for the environment because they're almost pure pollution machines. They don't provide benefits, they don't save lives, they don't send us to space or cure cancer or whatever. It just verifies that you're the owner of this very bored chimp and somebody made a lot of money, and Mother Nature has to take a massive L on all of the coal and gas that you burn to fuel these transactions on the blockchain. And even if I wanted to do all of these other nice things, like enjoy that unique ownership, I can't do so at the expense of the environment. So as of now, I personally will probably never buy an NFT and probably won't ever participate in them. Maybe if I'm given one, I'll sell it or something, but I don't see myself engaging with this very much in the future.